Oh hi, thanks for watching my video. So I've been doing Retro Sundays for a while now. If you don't know, Retro Sundays is where we play through old Sims games for a laugh. Some of you have asked me to cover certain Sims games that came out back in the day, and don't worry, we will get through them. I'm working through them in the order that they were released, so currently we're on Bustin' Out, and the next game is going to be Herb's Sims in the City. However, there is one game that some of you have suggested that isn't going to make an appearance in Retro Sundays, and that game is Sims Life Stories. Unless you've been around on my channel since the beginning or you've scrolled all the way back to my earlier videos, you probably don't know that I've already played the Sims Life Stories on this channel. So I don't plan on playing through it again, although if you've played it or seen it, you'll know that there's actually quite a lot of drama in these little tales. So I thought, seeing as we won't be playing through it again, I would instead take a retrospective look at Riley Harlow, the main protagonist of the first story. So in today's video, we will be talking through Riley's story, and we'll also be assessing whether or not she really was the good guy. So let's get into it. Riley's story begins as she hops out of a taxi into the neighbourhood town of Four Corners. Side fact, she just moved from SimCity. We love a cross-reference. As soon as she arrives, Riley's Aunt Sharon runs out of the house to welcome her to her home and give her a hug. So straight away we learn that Riley is new in town and for some reason has to stay with her aunt. Within literal seconds of greeting each other though, Aunt Shazza says she needs to deal with something urgent at the bank. She gets in a car that conveniently pulls up outside the house and fucks off. She does say that she'll be home later that night though. After a few hours of raiding the fridge, closet and her aunt's makeup, Riley is welcomed further by her new neighbours. Hunky heartthrob Mickey Smith, unassuming Fiona Fortuna and salty vibes Agora. After a little bit of chatter, Riley decides that Mickey is the one. She's only known him 5 minutes, but makes her feelings pretty known to the player and forces us to give him a tickle. Literally, she just wants to tickle him, like a creep. In fairness though, it isn't all Riley being overly keen. Mickey does also act like everything she says is hilarious. Shortly after the neighbours leave, you get a little pop-up, which I assume is Riley's diary. She basically talks about how her aunt left so suddenly and calls her crazy. She also says she wonders if Mickey is single because she'd like a slice of that pie, and she also calls Agora a fake bitch. The next day, Riley decides she should probably get a job. I'm pretty sure the game makes it so that you have to work in the entertainment career because that's all that comes up when you look. Then she gets an email from Aunt Sharon saying she's helping a friend and won't be back for a few days. Riley doesn't question this and instead decides to invite Mickey over. But he doesn't show up alone. That fake bitch Agora tags along too. But she doesn't come empty-handed, she gives Riley a plant. Just what she wanted. More responsibility. Here's the thing though, at this point I did have empathy for Agora. She obviously likes Mickey too, and she's been friends with him for a while, and then all of a sudden, Riley turns up, starts calling her a fake slag, and starts making moves on her man. Once Mick and Agora are inside, Riley insists on hitting on Mickey, and even refers to this as a date. But we didn't ask Mickey on a date, so he doesn't know it's a date. As soon as Riley hits on Mickey, Agora runs over and pokes her. You know how Sims do when they've just been cheated on? Riley is furious. She calls Agora ugly and shoves her out the house. Naturally, Riley doesn't question why Agora would act like that. She doesn't ask Mickey if he had maybe led Agora on at all. I mean, he did get pretty sheepishly quiet when Agora attacked her, so he must have been completely innocent, right? So this ordeal forces Riley and Agora to become enemies. Day 2. Of the diary entry pop-ups, and Riley comes off very snarky about the day's events. She calls Agora a stupid cow and doesn't understand why she was so upset when Riley and Mickey were just being friendly. She does briefly wonder where her aunt might be, but quickly moves back on to gushing about Mickey. The following day, Riley goes to work and decides to call Fiona when she gets home. I think it's so she can bitch about Agora. However, Fiona has some gossip of her own to tell. A sim called Dylan Kincaid has recently moved to Four Corners. Riley is shocked to hear this, as Dylan Kincaid is her old flame from high school. She wonders what brought him to Four Corners. A few hours after the phone call, she just can't seem to get her old flame Dylan off her mind. So she decides she wants to invite Mickey to dinner so she can stop thinking about Dylan. So the pair head to Starlight Cafe for a bite to eat. We end up paying, and then Riley decides she wants to plant a kiss on Mickey. This date night here is basically when the two end up falling in love. Mickey ends the night by giving Riley a rose. Riley adds another diary entry talking about her magical date and goes home. The following day, when Riley gets home from work, a certain someone gets in touch. You'll never guess who. That's right, it's Dylan, the old flame. He pops up to say he's heard that Riley was in town, and basically invites himself over for dinner that night. Riley seems pretty happy about this because hearing Dylan's voice brought back a lot of memories, so she wants to learn how to cook properly so she can make him a nice meal. I mean, you don't really seem to know what you want, Riley, and that's okay, but I think you're going to end up hurting people here. So yeah, Riley happily has her ex over for dinner at her place. What could possibly go wrong? So Dylan turns up and, you remember how yesterday Riley was basically in love with Mickey? So much so that she was willing to beat up a bitch to have him to herself? Well, guess how long it takes for Riley to decide to kiss this other bloke? I'll give you a clue. He doesn't even make it inside the house. Literally, as soon as he makes it onto the porch, Riley is like, "Oh, I forgot how good of a kisser Dylan is. How about I give him a real romantic kiss?" Oh, Riley, you are terrible. After kissing Dylan, Riley is like, "Well, I know I'm seeing Mickey, but I do want to continue this date with Dylan, so I just won't question it." Now, don't get me wrong. I know that Riley and Mickey only went on a few dates, but it was Riley that was all like, "Oh my God, Mickey is so dreamy." It was Riley inviting him on dates, and it was Riley making the first move every time. And then literally the first possible opportunity to get attention from another man, and she's like, "Oh, I know it's wrong, but it feels so right." So when she's finished sucking his tongue out of his mouth, Riley serves up some food, and immediately after eating, she's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so full. I might need Dylan to carry me." Then she says she wants to leap into his arms, so she does. Dylan gives her a present, and then he heads home. Her diary entry for that day says it was a strange day. Dylan is a really nice guy, but she wants to call things off with him in case Mickey finds out. Jesus, this girl is all over the place. You know who you should really get to know, Riley? Yourself. So the next day, Riley goes to work, and when she gets home, Mickey invites her to the park. So that's where they go. Riley is the only one there at first, which is good for her because she wants to think about which guy she prefers. But she doesn't get too long to think before a chick called Ashley Sinclair approaches and introduces herself as a colleague of Dylan's. She tells Riley that Dylan has been talking about her a lot and seems to really like her. Then Mickey turns up and asks Riley to grill some sausages. "Oh, she's grilling sausages all right, Mickey. More sausages than you know about." Anyway, as Riley is grilling, she has a sudden realization that Mickey is definitely the one. And she wants to tickle him again. So the pair have some food and they go on the swings, when out of nowhere, Mickey asks Riley to be his girlfriend. Riley takes less than half a second to think about this and enthusiastically says yes. She tells the player that she wants to make out with Mickey immediately. "Riley, I hope you used mouthwash this morning to rinse out the saliva Dylan left there less than 24 hours ago, but sure, go ahead and stick it on Mickey." They kiss. It's great. Successful outing. The following day, Riley has the day off, so she invites Mickey to the gym. Once again, Riley gets there very early, so she does a quick workout and decides it's time to take a dip in the hot tub. Mickey soon joins and the two sweat it out in the tub. so steamy. But then, something completely unexpected happens. Dylan turns up. Who would have thought when they all live in this tiny town? But don't worry, Riley, because remember, you said that you wasn't doing anything wrong, so there would be no reason for anything to kick off now, would there? Dylan gets in the hot tub and he tells Riley he had a great time the other night and asks if he can come over for another course. Mickey is pissed off and he's rather confused as to what this guy could mean. But before Riley can explain anything, the two boys start fighting. Mickey tells Riley that Agora was right about her. He calls her a hussy and tells her it's over. Oh, Mick, I know you're upset, alright, but less of the slut shaming, please, okay? So Mickey walks away, leaving Riley heartbroken and crying. Dylan tells Riley that he's here for her and they should give things another go. So Riley is just like, okay. I mean, Riley, you do this to yourself. You just love the drama. Yeah, so Riley's like, yeah, okay. And then Riley's like, I just want to go home and be by myself. So she goes home, only to find Dylan laying on her bed. So she's like, Dylan? How did you get in here? Oh well, I could really use the company after what happened with Mickey. Dylan tells her that he meant what he said at the gym and he thinks that she's charming. So Riley responds with, I know I just got out of a relationship. You see where this is going, don't you? I know I just got out of a relationship, but Dylan's here for me, which is what I need right now. And I can't help it if I'm charming. This sim is something else. So then Riley decides she should give Dylan a kiss. Riley, it was only yesterday you and Mickey made it official, and it was only an hour ago you two broke up. Her exact words were, Dylan is being so nice to me. He's really helping me ease my hurt. Her hurt. The cheek of it. He's really helping me ease my hurt. He's a really tender guy. So it's fitting I give him a tender kiss. So Riley and Dylan start smooching, and Dylan makes a weird comment about Riley being Sharon's favourite niece. Riley thinks that comment was a bit strange, but she doesn't really think about it much. She'd rather just have some more kisses. The next day comes, and after a day at work, Fiona calls to tell Riley that Mickey and Agora are getting married. At this point, I'm starting to think that maybe Riley and Mickey do deserve each other, because it seems that immediately after their breakup, they both just shacked up with other Sims. Riley is obviously bothered by this news, so she decides that to make herself feel better, she'll call Dylan and ask him to take her shopping and buy her a few dresses. Dylan sadly can't make it, but Riley decides to go anyway. So she tries on a few pieces, but then what's this? Dylan is here with Ashley, the co-worker, and he's all over her like a cheap suit. How dare that man do exactly what Riley did to Mickey? How does Riley respond, you ask? With violence. Yeah, it's okay for Riley to do it, but if Dylan does it, he deserves a punch in the gut. So they scrap it out. Unfortunately, Riley wins, but needless to say, it's the end of their relationship. Dylan makes another strange comment about Riley's aunt, drops his wallet and runs away. So what does Riley do? That's right. She steals the money and buys those dresses she wanted. Okay, so just so I understand this, Riley 2 times Mickey, and when he finds out, she's like, what did I do? What did I do? I thought this was America. But when Dylan does the same thing, it's like, punch him in the face, beat him up, and rob him. So she does spend the money on dresses, and then Mickey turns up with Agora. Riley decides it's all a bit much for her to see the love of her life there with another woman. She decides to go home and thinks about what she'd give to get Mickey back. So now we find ourselves in the following day. Riley comes back from work and she has an announcement for the player. Riley has decided that she is going to do whatever it takes to break up Mickey and Agora and have him back in her arms. Bitch, he's getting married! So she does invite Mickey over and builds the friendship back up until they're good friends. Building the friendship back up, by the way, does take like a week, so I'm surprised that Agora didn't get suspicious of her fiancé going to his ex's house every night. But there we go, they become friends again eventually. And of course, Riley wouldn't be Riley if she didn't try to cross the line. So once again, she tries getting it on with Mickey. Mick tells Riley that it ain't gonna happen. He made a promise to Agora, and unlike Riley, he doesn't want to see multiple Sims at the same time. He does give her a teddy bear as a gift though, for some reason. In the diary entry, Riley does acknowledge that Mickey deserves a better girl than her. But she also takes the opportunity to drag Agora down, a Sim that Riley has had like 5 interactions with total. The next day, Dylan turns up telling her that she and her aunt have cost him everything and demands she leaves town. And before you know it, the police turn up. Aunt Sharon hops out of the car and says that Dylan kidnapped her. Turns out, Dylan's plan was to claim insurance money. He was gonna marry Riley and do away with her and the aunt. The police arrest Dylan on the spot, and they tell Riley that he didn't act alone. Riley asks her aunt what happened, and this is where Aunt Sharon spills the tea. She tells Riley about Dylan's plan and explains that an ugly-ish woman was involved and wanted to get Riley where it hurts. So Riley was like, ugly-ish woman? That must be Agora. So next thing you know, Riley is crashing their wedding and telling Mickey everything. Mickey breaks things off with Agora and the police come to take her away. Turns out she was actually the bad guy the whole time, but I still stand by the fact that Riley did not know that until just now. She was still happy to steal him away from his fiancée. So yeah, Agora is taken away by the police and Mickey decides it is the perfect time to propose to Riley, and they immediately get married. Riley promises her love to Mickey forever and ever. Unless, of course, you know, another ex pops by to say hello. No promises, okay? Yeah, so then they go on their honeymoon and you get to see their photo album. And upon their arrival home, Aunt Sharon just gives them a house. And Riley and Mickey start a family of their own. And that's pretty much the entire story of Riley Harlow. Is she really the good guy? I feel like the game really tries to make her seem like this relatable and down-to-earth Sim, but I don't really think she's that good of a character. I mean, she's good in a way that she is funny, but she definitely isn't the good guy in this story. Think about how many breadcrumbs were dropped for Riley to consider that something bad was happening to her aunt, but she was too boy crazy to even consider someone might need her help. But I'm more interested to know what you think. Have you played with The Sims Life Stories? What do you think of Riley's character? I'd love to know in the comments. But for now, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this speed run through of Riley's story. If you did, please like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.